Here, and I'm here with Coach Neil. And we wanted to pop in. We were actually having a discussion just before we decided to spontaneously go live. We were getting really juicy on the topic. Do you have unrealistic partner and relationship expectations? So I'm coming from a place, first of all, where as a matchmaker, every time somebody is thinking of working with me or wanting to work with me, they sometimes have this massive list of the kind of person they're looking for. They know exactly who they want. And sometimes they don't. But for those who know what they're looking for and they're coming to me ordering food off a menu and they've got the ingredients on the pizza and they're like, all right, pizza maker, like make this pizza, give me this person. And a lot of times the ingredients on there, I'm thinking, okay, like, should you be ordering those ingredients? Neil, welcome to this conversation. And please just give a quick intro for my audience who may or may not be familiar with you. Neil will be a familiar face. So welcome, everyone. Happy, I was going to say Thanksgiving. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I hope you're drinking green beer and you're enjoying yourself. Neil, welcome.
Thanks for having me. I feel like I'm cheating you. I'm not wearing a green shirt, but I could change and put a green shirt on.
This is gray. It might be reflecting green. It's gray. So
no, I'm saying I'm not wearing green. I feel like
I'm cheating. Got it. Yeah,
but,
me neither. Anyway, what do you think about this topic of unrealistic expectations? What comes to mind?
Yeah, I think that part of, we talk about win-win in business. And in business, if for both people to win, someone has to give. We both have to give, right? Like the idea that you can get everything you want is just not realistic in a business transaction. But ironically, in the relationship space, someone comes to you and says, hey, I need the perfect partner. But are they the perfect partner, number one? And then number two, does that perfect person exist? Or are you willing to budge and really have realistic expectations? Because many of the things on your list, Carm, that some of the clients want, they're all physical attributes as opposed to the type of person they want. So I just advise that, especially to the men, instead of objectifying the woman that you want, she has to be this tall, weigh this much, this age, this race. You want to have the type of person, the quality of person that you're looking to match with.
That's a very, very good point, Neil. And one of the struggles with working with a matchmaker, one of the struggles of a matchmaker is that when somebody does have a very specific or particular partner criteria that is physical, number one, last time I checked, I am not a deity or God. I do not, control body shape, body size, body image. And, when you're trying, what I'm saying is it's challenging enough for people to find a partner that carries a majority of traits and shares similar values. And then you add on to that, and they have to look like this, right? And they must be, 6'1", has to be, because I can't date anybody who's under 6'1". It's just not possible. I won't even find them attractive. And these are things that are real for people. And that's the thing. If you're one of those people that truly, truly believes that you cannot have a romantic, intimate, intelligent, sexually, passionate relationship with someone because they do not have this certain physical trait, it's something to look at. I'm not going to make people wrong, Neil, for their choices. I want people to be aware you're entitled to your choices. You are entitled to, wanting to have certain things. But the topic here is it unrealistic? And is it helping you or hurting you to have such specific, traits? I just want to say, shout out, hi, Javi. Oh my gosh, I have friends here. If you are here, happy St. Patrick's Day. Feel free to chime in on the conversation. Feel free to share this, live, and feel free to tag anybody you know that has expectations that you're thinking, all right, they got to listen to this conversation right now. So Neil, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the things that you would consider to be unrealistic. What's one example in which you can share that's an unrealistic expectation?
Well, there is no one example that's unrealistic. So, for example, um, if women are looking for a man who's a certain height, that's realistic. If they're looking for a man who's a certain physique, he's got six pack abs, that's realistic. If he's got to make over six figures, that's realistic. If he has to have, if he's got to be a lighter complexion or darker complexion, it's realistic. If he's got to be kind and gentle, that's realistic. Affection is realistic. All these things individually are realistic. And he has to like you, that's realistic. The question is when you start stacking them together. So if you have a few things that are realistic, that's fine. But when you demand that he's all of these things or she is all of these things, that's where you start to run into problems because nobody's perfect. And then you want that person to have all these physical attributes and financial attributes, and then also like you, and then be loyal and be faithful and be single. Now we're just putting yourself in a situation where it's going to be very difficult for you to find that person. And he also has to like you back.
Yeah,
So
I
and not be married.
and be great in bed and doesn't have the nuances that bother you or whatever. I think one thing about what is unrealistic and what is realistic. Here's one context. As a matchmaker, when people come to me and they're looking for primary example, I could work out more. I have a gym membership, don't really, and this is not me, this is example A. I could work out more. I don't work out that much. I have a gym membership, really don't go. But I bet you if I dated somebody who is physically fit and super active, like that's my type. I want somebody who eats clean, motivates me to go to the gym, and that's who I'd like to meet. So definitely someone who's fit and leads a healthy lifestyle, right? And now it's not that it's unrealistic, but when you are looking for a partner because you want that partner's traits to rub off on you, or you're shy, I want somebody who's outgoing because you know what? I could use a little kick in the pants and have more of a social life, and it'd be fun to like have friends when I'm a little bit more, introverted. And you're now seeking a partner because you come from lack, or you want to improve or better yourself. The question is, does that partner want you? What would be the first choice of a person who's healthy, fit, living already in that lifestyle? Like, how realistic is it for you to expect or think that healthy person or that fit person who's already authentically living a fit lifestyle is going to be motivated to, wake your butt out of bed to go to the gym? What do you think about that, Neil?
Yeah. So, it's funny. There's a saying in business that says, if you take a look at your five closest friends, you're kind of a combination of the five. But the goal is to level up, so that way
Mhm.
you have to get to that next level. So basically, find five friends who are at a higher level than you to raise your level. But the question is, why would those five friends want you in their circle, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with dating, right? Like you want to meet that woman who can help you raise your game, who is a good reflection of herself and you. But then is that woman looking at you and thinking he's going to raise my level? He's going to bring me to that next phase in life. So it's this combination of idealism and dreams and goals and what you want and mirror that with a combination of humble reality and self-awareness to see where you're at that moment. And then a combination of, do I really want that person? We all think we want the Victoria's Secret model until we have her, but then we're jealous that every other day there's 600 guys on Instagram commenting on her photos. So
Yes.
sometimes we just got to be careful what we wish for, because I tell some of my clients, can you really make that Bentley payment? You want the Bentley, but do you want that car payment? Well, you want this girl who's young and beautiful and looks a certain way, or you want a guy who's tall and good looking and six pack abs and six figure, but then you wonder why he doesn't commit to you because he has options. So be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, very good point. There are a lot of times when you have a crush on somebody, or people don't like change, but they do. And I find in dating, the rule opposites attract. Yes, there's something exciting. There's something mysterious. There's something even naughty sometimes about being with somebody who's just so different from you. And in reality, uh, is that how does that difference play out on important matters? Like how do you feel on a day-to-day basis when you are like at two different ends of the spectrum, right? It can seem fun and great and passionate because it's different. At the end of the day, though, it's really compatibility on all of your important issues and compatibility on the day-to-day little things that make things run smoothly versus constantly sort of being in that conflict. You and I, Neil, talk a lot about chemistry, right? And oftentimes the idea of chemistry chemistry almost is a bit of a, I'll call it a pink flag. It's not always a red flag. So I don't want to advise people, oh my God, just because it's hot and passionate, like be careful. However, a lot of relationships that start off with this intense passion and unexplainable like desire, it fades as fast as it lit up, right? Because there was no substance or basis to that. In fact, chemically, your brain and body think differently. Your motivations are different. It's kind of like being on drugs or feeling intoxicated. The feeling of love for someone, and I've been there, it is intoxicating. That's why it's so addictive to some people, and you want that. The challenge with that is if you have that expectation on date one that you are not going to date somebody unless you have these butterflies in your stomach and intense passion, and I just didn't feel it. It just didn't click. I'm sorry. I have to say that most long-term partnered couples that you can talk to that are 70 years old, that are 80 years old, married 50, 40 years, they grew into that relationship. They fell in love from friendship. They had a basis of compatibility and respect and really knowing each other. And then your sex intensifies. And then that bond is unshakable through the ups and downs of, moodiness and I guess, PMS and every other kind of physical ailment that you can have, because it was built on a strong foundation. What do you think about that, Coach? Especially with your experience with personalities and knowing what you know about people's birthdays and their behaviors. I feel like you've got an incredible edge with in the dating space as a result of kind of having this, a special ability. What do you think about the passionate start, and what's your coaching for those people who are looking for that?
So here's my first advice. And I know, Carm, you're a celebrity matchmaker, but I would actually challenge you to maybe retitle yourself. Instead of celebrity matchmaker, you should be celebrity dating advisor. Because here's the thing. Yeah, you can provide matches, but I think what you can also do, and what I do with my clients, is I just advise them of what they have currently, who they are. So if someone comes to you and says, hey, find me a match, great. You can find them 5 matches, but once they have those 5 matches, that's where you actually do your best work, is it letting them understand what they really have in front of them. And I bring that up to say that when it comes to chemistry, chemicals, emotion, and it comes to logic, as humans, we don't really have the best ability to judge other people with regards to ourselves, right? So the person that is the perfect match for you, emotionally, chemistry, passion, may not be the right long-term match for you, like you mentioned before, Carm, with regards to, understanding, respect, and logistics. So I think it's important that people, whether they've hired you or not, or hired me, they just have somebody in their life that can say, look, Joe, you have a good girl here. She may not be, this height, or she may not be this exact thing you want in every area, but she's really good in this area, that area. Or it allows you to get an outside perspective on what you do have. And I tell people, it's easy to get married. Elvis can marry you, and a marriage license is $50, but divorce is $350 an hour and can cost you 50 grand. What if it was the opposite? What if you invested highly in, matchmaker / advisor Carm or Coach Neil to help you to understand what you have in front of you and what to do moving forward, as opposed to falling in love and then 3 years later you're now spending out the nose to untangle these webs that you're into.
Yeah, that's an extremely great point, and why so many of my clients who have invested and do invest in this process for themselves, because they already do understand and appreciate what it takes and the time it takes to truly get to know someone. It might take, how many times do you hear stories of people who, after 6 months of dating, or dating bliss, even marital bliss for a certain amount of time, it's that one thing or something like came up that they didn't talk about, and it was a very important topic, and all of a sudden they just can't agree, whether it was a parenting choice, a career move, something substantial, because they didn't invest the time in knowing who that person was. So to your point, that discovery process, and nowadays with people's busy lives, I had one client, recent client inquiry, share, I was thinking of doing matchmaking because I know, like, I really wanted to have a child like yesterday. And the amount of time that it's going to take me to figure this person out and to see if we're compatible is going to be too long. Then I'm going to have to, delay having children and all of that stuff. I'd rather know upfront through, what you can assess and through what people share with you. And that's what dating apps try to do. That's what all, online dating apps do. Fill in your information, tell me what you want, tell me who you are, and then we'll make those connections. What's the biggest challenge with that, Neil? I'm sure you have a lot to say about somebody going on an app. First thing is, tell me who you are and what you're all about. Boom, 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 boom. Guess what? You often don't know who you actually are. And the biggest thing is your view of your own self. Your perception of your own self could be so different than your perception in reality, who you are to others. Like, I cannot tell you how many times people self-describe or challenge themselves with self-description. And then when you meet them, you're wondering, like, is this the same person who filled out this application? Then who you are can be so different when you add a human being in front of you. The minute you add this dynamic, this sexual tension, this chemistry, some people go completely off the rails, right? And some people they level up. Like, who are you going to be inside of a relationship? Who are you on your own? And who are you in a relationship? And who are you in a relationship with with different people? Because, Neil, as you know, given that you are coaching me and you've coached me on my personal relationships, my familial relationships. How I am with my son, Brandon, is different than how I am with my daughter, Nelia, my daughter, Michaela, my mother, Lucy, my brother, Carl. It's crazy. It's like I have 9 different personalities. So it's so, so important that you do that work, right?
Yeah, I think, remember, as professionals, we're objective. So when we look at clients, we're not emotionally involved. We're not in love. We don't love you unconditionally. We do our job. We're professional. So it's really simple for us to look at a guy and say, hey, Joe, you have 3 women in front of you. Here are the pros and cons of each, because it's just subjective. The problem is when you try to do that on your own is there's love. Love blinds you. There's attraction. Ooh, that guy's hot, or ooh, that girl's hot. Or she's not really my type, but you miss out on the fact that she checks every other box, right? So what we can do, Carm, and what you do in your matchmaking advisory business, and what I do as a coach, is I just say, look what you have. Let's take inventory of who they are, but let's also take inventory of who you are. And I actually pair it back to personalities and assessments. I give all my clients a personality assessment, 2 quizzes where I don't tell me who you are. Let me find out who you are with my own objective psychological assessment of you. And then I can help guide you without your input. Meaning, because a lot of the times, and there's a saying, right? If you walk into a room and you haven't brushed your nose, or you haven't brushed your teeth, in a week or a month, even though your nose and your mouth are this close together, you can't smell yourself. But everybody else in the room's like, they smell, but you can't smell yourself. But the irony is, if someone else didn't put deodorant on this morning, you could smell them. So it's really easy for us to evaluate other people, but we can't evaluate ourselves. Easy to point the finger, but not the thumb. And what
Yeah.
you and I do is we get to look at people and say, okay, this is who you really are. This is who we think you really should be with.
And that's the point of sometimes you're not even aware that you have an unrealistic expectation, because your view of yourself is that you deserve that, or you need that, or you want that, you have to have that. And my coaching or advisement advice on that is to look at, where is that coming from? Why do you have the specific need, in your opinion, to have this trait with that in a partner? Where's the use case for it, right? Like, how is that going to impact your life when you wake up, during moments of crisis? Like, what are the skills that you have and personality traits that you bring to the table? There's a gentleman on LinkedIn, Krenal, hope I pronounced that correctly. It's about what each brings to the table, not what one person brings to the table. That way it's more balanced versus skewing in one direction. Yeah, I agree with that. I certainly agree with that viewpoint. Appreciate your commentary. It's a lot of times people have that. Again, we do the empty cup scenario, or even like the empty table. It's missing the fork, the knife, the napkin, and they literally want that to happen with their partner. Another thing that I would say with respect to unrealistic expectations, things, Neil, can you elaborate on what you share regarding what God or God, the universe, the planet has already provided, like things like looks, things that someone cannot control? What was your commentary on that?
Yeah. So what I tell gentlemen when they go on dates with women is compliment them on things that they have control over. Don't compliment them on things they don't have control over. For example, her height. She didn't pick how tall she is. Okay. If she's beautiful or not beautiful, she didn't control that, right? That's a lot of that is God given. How old she is, that's God given. You were born at this day. But comment on her sense of fashion. Oh wow, I love that lipstick you're wearing. I love that your nails, they look great. Compliment her on her work ethic. Compliment her on her degrees, her education. She worked for that. Compliment her on her taking care of herself physically. Is she working out? Is she eating clean? Is she a good person? These are things within her control. Well, the same thing when you're looking to be matched. Don't judge someone based on things that are out of their control, because it's not within their control. The partner should be someone that you match with based on things that they can control. Therefore, they can also work on and improve. If they don't look like Gisele Bündchen, well, they can't change that. If they're not 6'7" and look like, the late Kobe Bryant or LeBron James, well, they can't control that. But they can control whether or not they're going to the gym every day. They can control whether they're working on their mental health and they're staying healthy. They're getting exercise. They can control the fact that they're positive, good attitude, they're supportive, they're kind, they're caring. That's where you want to judge your partner, not on the things that, well, he has to be between the age of 42 and 47. He has to be dark skinned or light skinned. He has to be, that stuff to me, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that number one, we a lot of people are challenged with looking at themselves in the mirror, right? We're so quick to ask for things, and we're so quick to, make demands or want all of these things without really assessing, is this person, am I worthy of this person, right? Is this person worthy of me? Like what again, that the whole table analogy, bringing someone to the table is so important, right? What are your traits? What are you looking for? And do they really matter in the end? I think that the PPA evaluation that you provide, and if you're curious about that, guys, you can go to my website, carmeliaray.com. And there is in the navigation bar, PPA evaluation. You can go to coachneilmason.com. Either way, you're going to get information on how you can have your, a deeper understanding of your personality traits, including Is sexual blueprint in that, by the way, Neil? I'm not sure.
Yep.
Can you quickly maybe just touch base on the sexual blueprint as well? Because I think that that's an important part of expectations, because guess what? It also falls true that people will ask me for certain sexual style, and guess what? I just learned my sexual style, and I didn't even, I'm learning all the time. Neil introduced me to the sexual blueprint and what mine was, and it was really enlightening for me. And if I were any of the styles, given that the more educated I am about myself, the more in control and confident I can feel to really find a partner that complements me. And now I can share, what I like or don't like. And it's not going to change. Like, I don't think it's going to change that drastically given my age. I might try new things, but fundamentally at the core, I am who I am. And I think it's so important that you understand that. So over to you.
Yeah. So your sexual blueprint, there's different ways that people like to have sex. And those different ways are, number one, they're sexual. They like to just have sex and oral sex, and it's all visual. The other thing is sensual. It's touch, it's massage, it's that physical connection, it's holding hands. There's energy where, it's interesting with energy is you look at like raves and stuff. There's people who get lost in the energy of the music. Energy is really, really, really charismatic. And then there's also, you're looking at things like a kink, twosomes, threesomes, foursomes, moresomes, and so forth. So all those different things, again, the way that people have sex with each other, it's important that we understand that as well.
Yeah, I think that's great. We have a comment from Thomas. Said, look
Yeah,
at your.
I know Tom. What's up, Tom?
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, friends, for joining us. This was a very impromptu conversation, and I figured, when Neil and I are behind the scenes and we're, doing our work together, I'm like, oh my God, we need to talk about this, and we need to talk about this in person. So thanks to everybody who watched. If you enjoyed this conversation and feel like there are people in your lives or single people, that could benefit from having this information that we just shared, please let them know. You can follow me at carmeliaray.com, and all of my social media handles are at Carmelia Ray. So very, very easy to follow.